Coming up on this episode of 101 Sports.
Are the Nets actually cool now that they moved to Brooklyn? Our experts have the answer.
Plus, could the Yankees be looking to get rid of one of their highest paid players?
All that and much more, and it all starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of 101 Sports. I'm Curt, Lestan.
And I'm Joe DiRienzo. The sports world has given us plenty of stories to cover this week, so let's kick things off with the starting five.
After the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency released evidence showing Lance Armstrong's drug use during his cycling career, longtime sponsor Nike announced that they have terminated their endorsement deal with the seven-time Tour de France winner after a 15-year relationship. Joe, do you agree with what Nike is doing here when they still sponsor people like Tiger Woods?
You know, I think this sheds a lot of light on what matters the most to Nike. Because if you look at it, Lance cheated on the field of play that he was most known for. Nike is a performance company, which means that they care more about the on-the-field attributes. The fact that Lance cheated and he cut corners, it kind of cuts away from their ad campaign. The just do it mentality that they have, that takes a little bit away when you have a guy that's on steroids that's promoting your product.
You know, certainly I hear what you're saying, and I understand you're right on that aspect. But for me, I think they're wrong to do this because I think you have to wake up and understand that the cycling world, the cycling sport itself, is one of the most corrupt sports that we have today. Doping is part of the sport. If you're not doping, you're not trying.
That doesn't make it any better that you're cheating, though. It's still cheating. It's still something that, yeah, Tiger had a lot of problems off the field. So did Kobe Bryant. So did Michael Vick, all Nike guys. And they didn't get dropped because their performance on the field was not changed.
I see what you're saying, but for me, I don't think it's too big of a deal. I think they're wrong here. I think people like Tiger have committed bigger sins.
That may be true. It has been yet another rough postseason for Alex Rodriguez. After posting a 130 batting average and being benched and pinch hit for in key moments, rumors began surfacing that A-Rod's days in pinstripes could be limited. With 5 years and over $100 million left on his contract, and even more in incentives, finding a team willing to take on him and his baggage could be tricky. Now, Curt, do you think A-Rod has played his last game as a Yankee?
You know what? I do. And it's really all this comes down to is the New York Yankees. If they're willing to eat up a bunch of his contract, they can and will
That's
move
a lot.
him.
That's a lot
no,
to
it
eat
is.
up.
And if any team can do it, it is the New York Yankees because they can spend buku bucks there like crazy. So if they're willing to eat up some of that contract, there will be a taker.
Here's my issue. That's a big if. Another big if is a team going to be willing to take on a guy like A-Rod?
Yes, absolutely.
Going down in his career 5 years in a row, average has been dropping. Under 20 home runs 2 years in a row. Never did that in his career when he played a full season. All of his numbers are going down. Huge, enormous contract. And I just don't see what the Yankees could get for him.
No,
they're going to get a bus if they're going to not pay it for his contract.
I understand. You are right in that aspect, but for me, he puts people in the stands. He still is valuable. The Boston Red Sox have announced that former Blue Jays manager John Farrell will take over as the new skipper for the 2013 season after working at a trade with Toronto. Farrell is familiar with the Red Sox organization after spending 4 years as the team's pitching coach from 2007 to 2010. Joe, is John Farrell the guy who can turn this Red Sox organization around?
I don't know about turn around because this is a big turnaround to make now. Obviously this season, the 90-loss season with Bobby V, he's going to be better than Bobby V. You look at
You'd hope so, right?
You'd hope so. You'd at least hope that he'd be better than Bobby V. But the last couple years he was with the Red Sox, they were some of the best in the league in pitching.
Absolutely.
John Lester had 19 wins. John Lackey had a winning season when he was a pitching coach.
Who?
That's the last time John Lackey had a winning season, when Farrell was pitching coach with the Red Sox. So yeah, he's going to help the team out. I don't know if he's the right guy to fix the clubhouse.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. It has to be better than Bobby V. I could do better than Bobby V, please. But listen, the big thing is the players on this team. They got to get better players because right now you're an 80-win team tops. That's just the way it is.
They've got a little bit of talent. They've got guys like Lester and Buckholz and guys that can perform.
Well. If they have to get there, though, they have to get back to where they were.
Right, they definitely have to get back to where they were. Starting this January, the state of New Jersey plans to legalize sports betting in the 12 Atlantic City casinos and 4 horse and dog racing tracks. However, all 4 major sports leagues and the NCAA are testifying against this legislation, concerned about the integrity of their respective sports being compromised. Now, Curt, does the legalization of sports betting affect the integrity of these sports?
Yeah, I think there's an issue. I think there's a big issue because if you think about it, what if they had legalized gambling when Pete Rose or Michael Jordan were playing? I mean, You know what? It's hard to look at someone who has a gambling issue and say, hey, you're a professional athlete. You can't go gamble on something that you're addicted to.
Right.
That's scary, Joe. That's really scary.
Yeah, you know what? There's a whole enormous cloud over this whole situation. There are so many things that can't happen if this is going to work.
Yeah.
Yes, this is money that can be made.
Oh, yeah.
Betting happens regardless of whether it's legal or not. And New Jersey's trying to capitalize on that. That makes sense
Rightfully
as a business decision.
Yeah.
These leagues cannot get involved in that. They can't get a single dime, otherwise people will be curious about hedging bets and getting these games fixed and things like that. It's a whole big mess.
I mean, I know for sure that I would be second-guessing everything that happens. I mean, especially if you look at the NBA where they have refs who they say are fixing games. This is a big issue. Big issue. I don't think it can happen.
Absolutely.
NBA players are famous for their pregame routines. LeBron's chalk toss, Dwayne Wade's rim pull-ups, elaborate handshake that look more like choreographed dance routines than simple daps. These routines that fans have come to love may be no longer because the association has put a 90-second clock on these rituals, and celebrations that last too long result in a technical foul. Joe, does the NBA have a right to do this, or are they hating on fun?
Do commissioners get it?
I don't think so, Joe.
I'm really concerned here because do they understand that sports are entertainment? The NFL getting rid of the celebration things. Now this happening. What do people have to do to make them realize it's an entertainment?
Yeah, Joe,
fans want to have fun.
I agree with you. I simply don't get this. I mean, listen, you're talking about a sport that's the NBA. The NBA rides their star players. They're known for their star players. It's star players over team play, and now they're taking away from their star. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't take away from the game. Sure, 5 minute delay before the game.
But
it's not a delay.
Love it.
Fans love it. The fans are in those seats watching everything happen. They're enjoying themselves. It's a part of the game. It's a fun part of the game.
Joe, I agree with you. I don't get it.
It is time for us to take our first break. But when One-on-One returns, I sit down with our MLB experts to look ahead to the World Series. Stay tuned.